guys, welcome back to the channel. So we've been about 3 weeks now into our quarantine in the UK. I've managed to bring out some videos on shadowboxing as well as bag work, but I really want to scale the videos down now to literally the fundamentals, the basics, the day one sort of stuff that you would be doing when you come into an MMA gym. Now this could be for people who've never done any form of martial arts before, have never thrown a punch in their life. It could be for people that are just looking to refine their basics and hone their skills while we have this period of downtime. So our first isolation study that we're going to be looking at is going to be on straight punches. So we're going to be looking at our jabs and crosses. Now jabs and crosses are the most widely used punches in any form of striking martial arts, and it tend to be the first punch you'll learn as a day one beginner. Before we do any punching, guys, it's really important that we know how to stand. Now, there are different ways that people would like to stand in MMA, and I'm not saying any of them are wrong, it's what works for you. Now, what works for me, I'm an orthodox guy, so I'll have my left leg forward and right leg back. So I'll have my front leg, and I like to have my toes facing my target, okay? My back leg is gonna step back, and my toes face slightly out. And I have a bend in my back leg, and I'll lift my heel up off the floor. I should be able to rock back and forth between my back leg and my front leg. Okay, my hips are very slightly back, mainly because if somebody was to come and try and take me down, I can bring my hips back myself. I can bring them forward, make it easier for me to kick and for me to move as well. I can move my hips at will here. Okay, coming up the body now, our shoulders and hands. Now we're going to tuck our chin, bring our hands up, and I like to have my backhand, my dominant hand glued to my chin, and my front hand out here, looking like this. Okay, this is my garden stance, and this is the way that I like to stand when I'm fighting MMA. Now let's look at this from the side. So we're here, I bring my back leg back, my front toes are facing my target, my back toes are facing slightly out, bending in my knees, bend at the hips slightly, hands up nice and high here, and this is what I'm looking like here. I'll go one more time around to the side. So we're here, back leg back, forward, and this is the way that we're going to stand here. So now that we've got our positioning down, now we're going to look at our one punches, our jabs and crosses. So we're in our positioning here. Now, a lot of time when I throw a jab, I'll step forward my lead leg and I'll throw, as my foot hits the floor, I'll throw my jab. My elbow stays tight and I extend, and the last second I turn my hand out, my right hand will stay tight to my head here, okay? And then it's really important when I'm here, I don't leave it here too long, I'll pull it back at the same time. So I'll go here, I can pull back. When I throw my cross, the cross is ever so different. The main reason because with my backhand, my hip is slightly back because my foot is back. Now, if I throw the cross and don't move that hip, it won't get as far as my jab. So what I need to do, I need to push my hip forward. So it's this, I'm generating the power from the floor. So I'm turning my foot, then that comes up my leg to my hip, and then it turns to my shoulder, pull this shoulder back, and the cross will come out. So it will look like this. This. Okay, I turn to the side, so we look at our jab, we look at our cross, okay? Jab, cross. Now there are a lot of big mistakes that people do when doing these types of techniques, and we're gonna go into that now, so just take a look. So with a lot of these points, I'm really exaggerating what I'm trying to do. I've slowed this footage down now so you can see it. Just about as I'm about to punch here, I'll lift my elbow out to the side, hover it out for a second, then throw the punch. Now that's a big telltale sign. We're going to say to our opponent, hey, I'm just about to punch you in the face. Do something about it. So the first mistake on our list was bringing our elbows out too early when we throw our punches. Now, let's look at our stance and guard when we're here. Now, if I bring my elbow out, it's a big telltale sign that I'm going to punch. So, when I throw my punch, I like to keep my elbow going down the same path, and when I twist my hand, there should be no room for my elbow to come out. If I twist too early, my elbow comes out, and it looks like this. But when I go down the path and then turn, there's barely any elbow coming out of this line now. Here. Here. So another thing I can do to increase the range is pull my shoulder back a little bit on my other hand. Just there, just slightly. Just to get that last inch on that punch, which means more power to here. Same thing when we pull this elbow back, I'll pull it back like this. Here. When we throw the other punch, I'm going to slightly turn my back foot to bring my other hip forward. My back hip now is slightly forward compared to my other hip, and that just gives me that extra bit of reach on that punch. If I was to punch from here, it wouldn't go as long as my other punch there. But if I turn my hip, it just gives that extra bit of pull and push, sorry. So we're here, push. Same thing with my elbow stays tight until the last second. I'll do it this way so you can see. So look, this is the jab. Here. When I throw my cross, I'm gonna bring this back and I'll push this hip forward. Here. Jab, cross. My elbows aren't coming out to the last second. That's a really good thing to do. Make sure your elbows are nice and tight when we punch. Once again, I'm really exaggerating this for the effect so that you can see definitely what I'm doing. I've slowed this down as well. So as I'm throwing my punches, my other hands aren't in position to throw our next punch. All of these punches now are hip punches. They're being thrown from the hip and they're not coming back or to the right place. So our second mistake on our list is dropping our hands when we throw our punches. Now, this is a lot easier to do on the less punches that you throw. So if you're throwing 1 or 2 punches, this is relatively easy to do, keeping our hands up. But as we do bigger combinations, like 4 or 5, sometimes your hands will drop a little bit and you'll feel it as you do it. Because you're trying to do things so fast, you don't tend to notice it as much until somebody points it out to you. So let's say if we're going for a jab. When I throw my jab, my hand will stay tight to here and I'll pull it back. When I do jab cross, I go jab, cross, and as I throw my cross, my left hand will come back to my face to where it started. If I want to throw another jab, it's there. A cross, it's there. Jab, it's there. Everything is coming back in the right position. What you'll find is sometimes when people throw more punches, let's say we throw 4 punches, they'll go 1, 2, and the hand will come down to here, 3, 4, and then they'll just bring their hands up here. It makes covering a lot harder. And let's say if you were sparring or fighting somebody and you were in the pocket and you were both firing at each other, their hands stay up during their punches and your hands come down, he will land a lot more than you will land. Because his punches will come out faster because they're from his chin and his face is more protected. So if I'm here, this side of the punches, you can see this side, I'll go my jab here. You don't want to be going here because now this side of the face is unprotected. I want to go here. So if I do 4 punches, I go bang, 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 bang. My hands are coming back every single time. It's a really good habit to practice. Back, back, back. 4. You can build up the punches. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really important that we practice this, not just at the start and the finish, but throughout the whole thing.
So once again, slowed this video down for effect. As you can see when I'm throwing the punches, I'm just way too close to this bag. I can't get any power in these punches whatsoever because I can't fully extend my arms. Now on the other end of the scale, just look how far I am away from this bag. Now if this bag wasn't there, I'd probably fall forward. I'm leaning forward that much, I'm so far out of position.
So the last point that I want to make is when you're throwing jabs and crosses, it is very apparent sometimes when you're on the bag or when you're doing pad work or especially sparring, is underestimating, overestimating your reach. Now, the more you strike, the more you'll get to know your reach and you'll know how long your arms are. So when I'm punching, I've got to imagine this is my positioning and I don't want to break positioning here. So if I'm this is my position broken because my head and shoulders are over my hip line now. So if you look at my body, it's like in a diagonal sense. Whereas when I'm here, this is good positioning. Everything's in a straight line, and it's a lot easier for me to do other techniques or to defend or react to what my opponent does. When I'm here, I'm kind of stuck in the mud here, and I'm in a bit of a limbo, and that's where I'm going to get countered. So when I throw my punches, I want my body in a straight line here. Now, if you're too far away from your target, this is where our footwork comes in. I didn't want to spend too long on this because this is another video. So when we're here, I step, and this is my footwork. Whenever I throw punches, when I move my feet, that's how I get closer to my target. I don't get closer to my target by reaching and pushing myself out of position. I move my feet here. A lot of times you'll see it on the crosses, people will wind up a big cross and they'll throw and then their back leg will lift up off the floor and they'll fall forward into their target, and that's where they get counted a lot. You want to throw your cross back here and back and back. Okay? We throw it out and back, jab and back, cross and back. Move our feet if we need to. So those are 3 ways that we can improve our jabs and crosses. Now, I'm not saying that if you do it this way, that you'll have jabs and crosses that can knock out, I don't know, elephants or whatever. To do training on top of this technique is also very important to get the reps out, whether you're working on your heavy bag, pad work, getting the timing right when you're sparring. It is all still very important. But what this does here, it gives you a foundation, a framework to build on. So if you've got flawed technique, you can only build up so much power and speed on a flawed technique, because you can only build up to so much. But if you can get all the perfect technique right first, and your technique is completely perfect, then you're going to get the most potential out of your speed and power on top of that technique, if that makes sense. So all I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to give you that foundation and that framework to build on yourself, and then it's up to you to get that jab faster, to get that cross stronger. That's up to you, but this is just to build up that solid technique. Okay, so if you like this video, please make sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I'm going to be doing some more isolation videos on some of the other punches, like the hooks and the uppercuts. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can follow me on Reece Jones 311, and you can follow my gym, Tamworth the Fight Hub, down here. Thanks guys.